In this video, I'm going to be replacing a wheel hub assembly on my 2014 Equinox. It's my daily driver, and I got this error code that popped up on my display. The service stabilitrac notification, along with the traction control and the ABS dash light, come on when I start the car. And you're going to see here, once I get above 20 miles per hour, the all-wheel drive off notification pops up, which is a good indication that your wheel speed sensor isn't reading. And there you go, we have the all-wheel drive off notification. And basically what that is my wheel speed sensor, the ABS sensor, stopped reading this magnet that goes around here. So as your tire spins, the sensor reads this magnet, and for whatever reason, either the magnet broke on this or my wheel speed sensor is bad. About a year ago, I bought 2 of these, and I did the passenger side and never got around to doing the driver side. About 2 months after doing the passenger side, that warning came up saying that I have no all-wheel drive and traction control and all that doesn't work. The reason why I'm doing this now is because my transmission is now shifting weird, which is a TCM problem, but could also be, this could be part of the problem as well. So I'm going to fix this issue to get rid of the codes that are already on the car, and if that helps my transmission shift better, maybe I can get away with not having to work on the TCM right now. So with all that being said, this shouldn't take very long. It's really not that hard of a process to do. You can find a bunch of videos on YouTube about replacing the wheel hub assembly on Equinoxes. Just figured I'd throw another one out there. I'm a backyard mechanic, so I am YouTube certified, meaning that I go to YouTube to watch videos to see if I can even do this or not. And 9 times out of 10, it's a job that if you have a little know-how, you can pretty much fix anything. So, and save a bunch of money in the process. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm going to save a bunch of money doing this myself. So you're going to need a couple tools. First off, you're going to need the wheel hub assembly. So whatever brand you go with, that's up to you. I go with Moog. I've had hit or miss, things with Moog. My ball joints I did myself. Those ended up they were bad out of the box, so I had to have a different brand put on there, and haven't had any issues since. So like I said, I did the passenger side after putting this Moog wheel hub assembly, and then all these dash lights started coming up. So could be faulty wheel hub assembly, I don't know. But first you're going to need the wheel hub assembly. I have a bad elbow, so me wrenching on stuff, not really, good for the elbow. So I'm going to be using my impact as much as possible. But you can do this all with a bunch of hand tools, ratchet or a wrench or both. And just a little bit of time. We're going to start off by taking this center cap off your rim with a flat blade screwdriver. This will give access to the wheel hub nut that holds your CV shaft in the splines of your wheel hub assembly. And then we're going to take a 1 7/16, I believe, and we're just going to break that loose, and just a couple turns. You don't need to take it all the way off. Next, we're going to jack the car up. That way we can remove the tire. Make sure when you jack your car up, you put it on the frame and not the body of the car. Once you get it jacked up, don't rely only on the jack itself. Your car could still fall, so go ahead and put a jack stand underneath, just in case.
Next, I'm going to take my lug nuts off with my impact gun. That way I can remove the tire and rim. If you use a tire iron too, that's fine. Like I said, impact for me because I have a bad elbow. Once you get all your lug nuts off, go ahead and remove your rim and tire and set it out of the way. I use mine to set my rotor on when I get to that point. Now we're going to use a 14mm socket, and there's 2 bolts we got to remove to take the caliper off. Once you get the 2 bolts out, go ahead and wiggle your caliper off. Be careful not to twist the line, and then just set it out of the way so it doesn't fall down. Once our caliper is secured and not going to fall, we're going to take an 18mm socket and remove the 2 bolts that hold our caliper bracket. Once we get the caliper bracket off and the brake pads, we're going to take a T30 star bit and we're going to remove the assembly bolt that holds the rotor onto the wheel hub. Once we get that bolt or that screw out, I like to set my rotor on top of my rim. It helps keep the rotor from getting damaged. Now we're ready to take the 3 13mm bolts out that are holding the wheel hub assembly on. As you can see, I twisted my steering to give me better access to the 2 bolts on this side, and then you'll see me twist it the other direction to give me access to the last bolt on the right side. And then you guys can see that I rotated the steering wheel the other way. That way I can get access to this third and final bolt holding this wheel hub assembly on. After the third and final bolt is removed holding the wheel hub assembly, we're going to take a 10mm socket and we're going to remove the bolt holding the wheel speed ABS sensor.
Alright, now this is the ABS wheel speed sensor. This is what actually reads this magnet right here. As your wheel assembly spins, your ABS sensor is reading this magnet, which tells your transmission or the TCM, what RPMs you're running at, when to shift gears. It also controls your all-wheel drive, your traction control, your assisted braking, your ABS, basically. So if this is faulty, it'll still throw the same code as a bad wheel hub assembly. So if you go to any mechanic, they're going to start with this because this is the most common issue for why that doesn't work. And then most mechanics, they have a scanner and they can take your car out for a drive and they can pinpoint which wheel is not reading any RPMs. So I don't have a scanner. Like I said, I've already done the passenger side and I haven't done this side yet. So I'm hoping that this fixes my issue when it comes to that warning that I showed you at the beginning of this video. So with that being said, before I put this in, I'm going to clean it. After I get this new one in, I'm going to clean the sensor, then install it. That way it's a clean read. And basically it's easy peasy. Now that I got all 3 bolts out, as you can tell, it wasn't that difficult. Now all we have to do is hammer your wheel hub assembly out after we punch our drive shaft out, basically. So that's why we loosen the nut, because now that we're up in the air and we don't have a tire on it, this nut will just spin. Your axle will just spin and you'll never be able to loosen it unless you have an impact wrench. Now I have an impact, but I don't have a socket that fits my impact that's big. That is that big. So that's why I use my breaker bar, because I have a 1-inch breaker bar with all the sockets that I need to do anything that big. But yeah, like I said, we're ready to take this off. We got to take it off with a hammer, unfortunately, but it's the only way. We're going to hammer one side until this dust shield gets loose, and then we're going to spin this dust shield around and hammer the other side. That way it's a clean pull. And yeah, hopefully it's as easy as what it's looked so far. So in order to get this out, we need to hit this with a hammer. So we got to be careful not to damage the threads on this, because if you damage the threads, you won't be able to get this nut back on once you take it off. So there's a trick to that I learned a long time ago in the machine shop that I'm sure a lot of you backyard mechanics don't know. Well, we're going to thread this out till it's right at the edge. And we're basically going to use that nut as basically a thread blocker. That way you don't accidentally hit the threads. All right, now that we got the nut to the end of this shaft, we're going to go ahead and take our hammer and tap that loose. As you can see, now our shaft is loose. It pulls in and out pretty easily now. You can always check that by taking your thumb and just pushing on it. As you can see, that moves quite a bit now. Now we can go ahead and take the nut off. And now the fun begins. When you're hitting this, you want to make sure you hit your wheel hub assembly and nothing else.
Like I was saying, be careful hammering your wheel hub assembly off. You don't want to hit your dust shield, you don't want to hit your knuckle or anything else and cause more damage than what you're trying to fix. And this is going to be the most time consuming part and the most labor intensive part of replacing your wheel hub assembly. So, you know, don't be afraid to take a break, grab some water, especially on a day like it is today where it's 85 and humid and I'm working kind of in the sun, even though I'm in the garage. And what you see me doing there, wiggling the dust shield, is as I hammer on it, I'm watching the gap between the wheel hub assembly and the knuckle that the wheel hub assembly slides into. And as the gap gets bigger, I'm wiggling the dust plate just to the point where I'm going to be able to twist it all the way around and be able to hammer the other side. As you can tell, the dust shield kind of blocks me from hammering the right side right now. So as I hammer away on the left side, I wiggle the dust shield until it frees up and then I can rotate it out of my way. Well, as you can tell, I'm getting wore out. I'm starting to miss my hammer swings, and I almost took my knee out there. There is a gap on the wheel hub assembly, but it's not enough. So at this point, I'm hot, I'm sweaty. I'm going to go inside and grab some water and something to eat, and then come back out afterwards and attack this thing again. And I'm back. So, gonna attack this thing once again. I started noticing that with every hit here, I was starting to create a bigger gap, which is why you see me wiggling it like that. I'm still a little tired, but I was making some progress, and you're gonna see here. Um, the dust shield does start to move a little bit. There we go. We got some wiggle out of it. So now you're going to see me tap back and forth on the wheel hub assembly, just trying to open the gap up where it was still a little bit shut. And now we're starting to rotate that dust shield around a little bit. And I'm going to rotate it to the point where it stops, and then I'm going to hammer at different points around the wheel hub assembly until I can get all the way around to the right side, or the wheel hub assembly itself will fall right out. As you can see, I rotated the steering to the right, and now I'm going to attack that right side, and you're going to see the wheel hub assembly fall right out. So here you see the wheel hub assembly is out, but the CV shaft is stuck in there still, just a little bit. I tried to hit it with a hammer, but I was hitting the wheel hub assembly. I tried to put the nut back on, but that didn't work either. It was the same problem. And then I ended up taking my my breaker bar and putting the end of it and just tapping it, and I one tapped it and it fell right out.
So when you're taking your wheel hub assembly off, you want to make sure you don't dent, the outside. That way when your rotor is spinning, it doesn't hit your dust shield. Now this is broken right here, but the bolt holes are still good. So I'm going to reuse this. I'm not going to have to replace this. Now there is a washer with some retaining stuff on it. Make sure you put that back on the same way that it comes off, which the tabs would be facing out. I'm just going to put that back on there just so I don't lose it. Now looking at my wheel hub assembly, you can tell that the magnet is totally gone and there's pieces that are still stuck and glued there, but it's just destroyed, it's gone. So this is a problematic wheel hub assembly causing that reading and the fault to come on my dash. And you can see the new one compared to that one. Now the proper way to reinstall this is to clean this up as best you can. I'm going to grab some brake clean and just kind of wipe it out with a rag. I'm not going to go take a wire wheel to it. I'm just going to clean the surfaces. I'm going to put grease on the spindle just to help it slide back into place. I see a lot of people that use anti-seize, which is good. It'll keep the two pieces from rusting together like that last one is. That's the reason why you got to beat it out like that, is because it corrodes. And being that this is cast aluminum and the part that you're putting on there is steel, they kind of like become one piece. So you got to beat on it to get them to separate. So I'm going to just put grease on here. I don't think I have anti-seize. If I do, I'm going to use it. But I'm just going to wipe it out with brake clean and call it good. I'm just trying to get this done as quick as possible because this is my daily driver. So I'm going to go see what I got on the shelf and I'll be back. Alright, sorry about that, my camera died. So I'm going to be using red and tacky just because it's more of a high temp grease. I have some lithium grease, general purpose. Oh, for this, I'm just going to use this. It's not going to hurt anything, I don't think. I'm just going to go ahead and scrape and brake clean this up, and then basically the assembly is taking everything and putting it back in the opposite order that you took it off. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrape some of this rust off of this drive shaft and brake clean it. That way there's no loose pieces in here. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and clean that sensor. That way I don't have to do it later. Let's not forget our clip. Put it back on the same way that it came off. I'm going to go ahead and take some grease. Not only put it on the spindles here,
So this is literally the opposite of what we just did to take everything apart. I put my dust shield up there. I'm going to put the wheel hub assembly, the new one, in there. I'm going to thread the bolt or the nut back onto the CV shaft. And I'm going to use that to hold the wheel hub assembly on there. That way it doesn't fall off. And then basically I'm going to line the holes up. And I'm going to shove the three 13 millimeter bolts back through the back side and get a couple threads to thread into the wheel hub assembly. And then I'm going to take my impact wrench and tighten them down. And then, yeah, we're pretty much almost done at that point. You'll see me go grab some blue Loctite. I figured after putting the first one in there that it'd probably be a good idea to put some Loctite on there to help keep these bolts from pulling back out. And then you're also going to see me put my wrench back on the uh, big nut that holds your CV shaft in there. And I'm going to use that to pull the wheel hub assembly tight to help get these bolts to thread in the back side of the wheel hub assembly. And it's just a matter of tightening those 3 bolts. As I told you before, I tighten things by feel. Uh, However hard it felt coming off or loosening it is the amount of force that I try to apply to it when I tighten it. There is a torque spec. I don't know what it is on these, but um, yeah, this is just how I do it, and I haven't had an issue, especially with the passenger side. Uh, my wheel and tire haven't fallen off yet, so. Now I'm going to snug that axle nut pretty tight. I won't be able to get it all the way tight, but I'll be able to get it snug to the point where I can't turn it anymore without the tire being on it. Now we're going to throw the rotor back on there and line the hole that your T30 screw screws into with the threaded hole on your wheel hub assembly. Now we're going to put the caliper bracket assembly back on there, thread the 2 bolts back in that mount that, and we'll throw the 2 brake pads back in there, and then we'll be ready to put the caliper back on, and then it's easy peasy from there. All right, once we get the bolts tightened and we get the brake pads put in there, we want to make sure to not forget to put the wheel speed sensor back in with the 10mm bolt. Alright guys, I ran out of memory on my camera, so everything is the same going back together, and you're going to put your rotor on, put your pads and your caliper back on, throw your rim on there, and then tighten it down, whether you use an impact or whatever. And then before you're done, remember to tighten that axle nut and pull the splines into your wheel hub. That's very important, otherwise you're not going to get any go out of this wheel if you don't do that. Yeah, that's it. Then you can throw that little cover back on, take it for a test drive, and hopefully your dash lights go out. Now, if you have a scanner or know somebody with a scanner, you can have them clear your codes and then go for a test drive. But usually once the problem is fixed, after a couple miles or so, once you get over 20 miles an hour, your dash lights should go away unless you have another problem somewhere else. I might be wrong on that, but everything else on this car, usually when I fix it, the lights go away. I know the computer system stores the codes, so any scanner at that point would be able to pull the code up that the cars had previously, but as long as I don't see it on the dash, I don't care. There we go. Before I even pulled out of the driveway, those lights went off. So, I'm happy with that. I'll take this down the road a little bit. I'm still having shifting issues, so I do think I have to replace the TCM. So, I'm having a hard time getting into the next gear. There we go. There we go, I got all-wheel drive back, just like that. So, should have did that a long time ago. Alright, so, just like that, no more ABS, no more traction control, and I have all-wheel drive back. So, if this video helped you at all, make sure you hit that like button, and hit that subscribe button, and I'll do more videos like this, working on my Equinox, and whatever other vehicle that I come across. And if you know, I get enough likes and stuff, I'll do more of these videos. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments whether this helped you or not, or gave you the confidence to do it yourself. And yeah, catch you guys next time.